Hi, my name is Mike. I'm going to be going over your game today. So the first thing that I wanted to get into is the pregame, what you should be looking at before you actually get into the game. So you're playing Sivir, Leona versus Rakan and Yasuo, so they have a very high engage bot lane, and you also have a pretty good engage lane as well, but you're a lot weaker than Yasuo in the early game when it comes to full out 2v2ing, just because he has a lot more damage and he can get on top of you pretty easily. But so the main way you're going to want to play around this is play very aggro level 1 because Yasuo can't really do anything to you. And then past that, you're going to want to try to chip at Yasuo as much as you can, following up your Leona whenever she goes in and keeping his shield off as often as possible. And then you're going to want to just poke him down whenever you can and try to engage with the Leona. Sivir's not super good at all innings because you're like basic auto and then reset with your W and then Q combo is kind of low damage when it comes to all in combos, but that's generally what you're going to want to do. And then the other important thing is spell shielding the Rakan knockup or the Yasuo knockup and not really anything else. So if Yasuo doesn't have his tornado prepped, you should only be looking for the Rakan W. If Yasuo has his tornado prepped and he can throw that third Q with the tornado, then you should be playing very far back because you can't obviously spell shield both of the knockups. So you're going to want to prioritize those knockups. And then whenever you're playing against an Elise, they usually are very high gank oriented. And just from the snapshot, you can kind of see like if you have vision somewhere top lane, there's a pretty high chance that if she's not top, then she'll be bot. She stays bot basically all game. So I'll teach you how to play on weak side of the map. It's very annoying and it sucks to have to play weak side because you don't really get a whole lot of autonomy and you don't really get to play as aggressive as you want because you do win this 2v2. But minimizing your deaths in weak side basically just ends the game because they're doing all they can to kill you bot side while your Kindred is getting fed top lane. For itemization, you want to go Essence Reaver first for your mana into Phantom Dancer. You go Phantom Dancer here because they have a lot of dive, so it helps with the shield. In other situations, if they don't have any dive, and maybe they have more long range champions like Orianna, Caitlyn, things like that, you want to go Rapid Fire instead of the Phantom Dancer. Then you can go Infinity Edge, and that's your 3 core items. And then past that, you're going to want to get maybe a GA, which looks very good this game because they have basically all of their champions only dive you, and your team doesn't really have any peel. They don't have any supportive champions. They just engage. So you're going to want to buy a Guardian's Angel this game so you don't die. And then last item, you're going to want a Lord Dominic's Regard, or maybe like a Death Stance or a Bloodthirster, depending on their build. So if no one on their team ends up getting Ninja Tabbies and they don't really have a lot of armor, it's pretty good to get LDR if they have those items. If they don't really have any armor at all, then you can get Lifesteal like Death Stance or Bloodthirster. But LDR is pretty good this game as well, just because they'll probably end up building Ninja Tabbies because there's Kindred on your team. And then Diana's going to get armor pen, or she's going to get Ninja Tabbies and Zonias. She probably won't get Ninja Tabby. She's going to get Zonias. Sorry, I'm speaking wrong. Getting into the actual game, so you're doing really good poking level 2 with their level 1. You should always be pushing up and getting level 2 first, which you did, and then you poke them out and try to engage on them. So you did a great job with the level 1 and level 2. You just need to ward this bush to avoid the Elise gank. So you see that in the top side of the map, Kindred or your mid laner put a ward showing anytime Elise walks over and past the Raptor camp. So you know that she hasn't crossed over yet. And then Kindred's going top side, pathing red from red to top, and Elise started blue buff. So the typical path for Elise is blue buff to red buff, but Elise isn't going to want to fight Kindred at the scuttle because she doesn't really have any lane priority in mid or top. So the only place that she's probably going to go is bot lane, especially since you have the vision. That's like the main thing. Unfortunately, it was kind of a cheese game because a lot of Elise players really just do blue to red, blue into red side, and then they'll play around top or mid. But you should be trying to ward this more often against cheesier junglers like Vi, Elise, Jarvan, uh, any of those champions that have really high early level 2, level 3 gank pressure. and then it's around 230. So you're going to want to ward this anyways because if Elise does go for a scuttle, you know Kindred's going for top scuttle, and Elise will probably opt in to go to bot scuttle to try to not fight the Kindred. You will get all this information as soon as you can, but you don't end up warding early, and you don't use the vision on the map to show that Elise never crossed over. So you end up you didn't ward that with the ward that you had, so you end up going in, you kill the Rakan, and then you end up trading your life, trying to flash out. You played it pretty well, but she just flash cocooned you and killed you. So you trade 1 for 1. It's not the end of the world, but being a little bit more mindful of high-pressure gank junglers like Elise and Jarvan, champions like that, where you're going to want to ward really early to make sure you don't get level 2 or level 3 ganked. Here, so now you have no summoner spells, so you're going to want to play passive, so you end up freezing here. So I just wanted to point this out as a really good play on your part, especially when you don't have any summoner spells on your side, and you know that Elise is really strong and she's going to be trying to gank you a lot. Freezing is always a good option. So I really like this play, and continue to do plays like this moving forward, and you'll save yourself the deaths. I'm going to skip forward to like 8 minutes because nothing really happens because you just freeze it and farm for the rest of the next 5 minutes. Here, again, you have vision of mid lane over here, and then you have vision at the Raptor camp again. And then Kindred is on top side, and she's been top side for most of the game. So this means that you're playing weak side since all of your champions, since the jungler is playing around Zac a lot this game, and the Diana and the Cassiopeia are 1v1ing. It's super likely that if Elise doesn't show up on this on the map top side to try to fight the Kindred and Zac, that she's just going to be camping you guys. So being mindful of you being weak side, you shouldn't be engaging on them. You should be freezing when possible, and then just kind of letting them farm, so you can easily just stay under your tower and just farm it out until you have more vision. Pinging back here, Leona, this is a bad engage. Maybe you knew it was a bad engage but didn't communicate, but the Leona messed this up here and you guys end up dying for it. Overall, this wasn't, you didn't do any bad mechanics. You had all the right target priority, making sure to target the champions that tank tower. They just bounced it back and forth really easily, and both of you end up dying for it. So it's just kind of unfortunate, but there's nothing really to do about the actual dive, but you shouldn't have gone in when you were weak side, knowing that you have a lot of vision on top side, so she's probably bot side. Let's see. 10:59 or so. So here you're pushing at their tower again. Your weak side, because Kindred's dead, Zac's top, and Cassiopeia is in base TPing to top. So that means you have no help on bot side. So Elise will be coming again because she's just camping you since you guys used all your summoner spells pretty frequently. And then even if they weren't coming, Yasuo and Rakan chase through minion waves very effectively. So you shouldn't be overstaying for these tower plates. You should be running away while you still can, but you end up greeting for tower plates, and then you end up dying for it. Again, playing on weak side of the map. Elise being there didn't even kill you, but she is there because she's just camping the opposite side of the map. Kindred's camping, so if Kindred's staying top, you shouldn't be at their tower. You should realize that you're probably going to die. Even if it was just Yasuo and Rakan, you're still going to die here because they can chase you down. And that's really how you ended up dying a lot early game, even though you weren't getting any help, so you're not going to be getting ahead. But you can do your best to minimize the Elise and Yasuo getting fed. And then the game just kind of ends because Kindred was doing pretty well topside. And then again, I'm going to skip the next like 5-6 minutes because nothing's happening. So here you end up overstepping again. You have all the vision on top side, so just check your map a little bit more and you can tell what side of the map these champions are going to be on. If you have a bunch of vision top and no one's there, super highly likely that they're just going to be trying to gank you through bot side somewhere. and then double likely that they're going to try to gank you through bot side because the dragon is up in 25 seconds. So that means they're going to be playing for the objective since they already have 2 dragons. So keeping in mind these dragon timers, you can't be up this far because you know that their whole team's going to want to try to fight for it. So you should be resetting closer to Leona and then playing around mid lane trying to catch the Diana since Diana doesn't have flash. But you end up split pushing by yourself and you can't get out in time, so you end up dying to them, and then your team just ends up winning the fight anyways and getting dragon, which is very fortunate, but you didn't have to end up dying there. 2150. You did a good bait in the bot lane for this viewer who took it, and then you just end up killing her, so this was a great bait, and this ends up turning into getting a Baron after your team wins 3v4 in mid, and then the game just kind of snowballs from there. Here, let's see, is the next team fight, and the only really mechanical thing that you have a problem with is spell shielding very early and very randomly in team fights, I think, because you're just getting a little anxious about abilities coming for you. You should just be trying to spell shield the very easy to see abilities like Yasuo knockup, Rakan knockup, and Elise cocoon. You just kind of throw it out randomly so we can play out this. So Rakan just jumped in and you spell shield. It doesn't really go on you, nothing happens. You're just kind of wasting your spell shield. Good target selection. And now, since you wasted your spell shield, you end up getting knocked up and killed here. But overall, it's not something too big to pick on because spell shield's a kind of hard ability to get used to. But just do your best to try to save it for a little bit more easy to see abilities, so you're not just using it without anyone hitting it. Because this is like the second or third time this game where you're just kind of using it before you think anything's happening. Because you have plenty of time to react to like Rakan knockup and Yasuo knockup, since it does take time to travel to you. So as long as you're being mindful of it and conscious, then you should be able to practice and do that. Let's see. So here you're baiting for the Diana to go in so Zac can get on top of you. But if you take a look at the numbers on the map, you have Cassio up top, you have Kindred here, and Leo here. And they only have Fiora showing bot side. So your worst case scenario is a 2v4 with you and Zac versus Diana and the rest of her team. What's likely going to happen is going to be at least a 2v3, and they're going to jump on top of you with Rakan and Yasuo, and you're going to have to flash out, which is what happens. So you got to be mindful of what numbers advantage is on the map. If you don't see them, you should probably assume they're close by. And let's say you guys mess this up, then you start swinging the gold into their favor, and then they can start pushing and stuff like that. So you don't want to really be initiating these types of plays, especially against double assassins like Yasuo and Diana. Good spell shield on the ult, that was great. But you still have to flash out because it's a 2v3, and then you guys lose the fight at the beginning part, and then you end up winning after Cassio and Kindred get closer to you. But the game just basically ends because they're too far behind, and your other champions are too strong at this point. And then the last thing that happened that you messed up on is you walked through a dangerous path. So here you see that the minions are right here, so they do see you walking this way. So the Diana is going to probably just hide off in the side of vision, because since you're bot side, their whole team was probably bot side trying to fight you, which is why all of them died. So you should just rotate this way towards the Leona. Make sure that you're with the super minions and with your support instead of taking a dangerous path where you don't know where the Diana might be, over here, on the other side of the wall. And you just end up dying that way. So it's important to just minimize a lot of these deaths. As a summary for this game, you were playing weak side for most of the game, which is really frustrating to play that, but you have to get accustomed to playing weak side and getting good at it so that you can win more games even when you're not getting all the resources. So you're going to want to ward much more often in the Tribrush and River, especially earlier than you would expect against high ganking junglers. And then you're going to play more passively, paying your support back so she doesn't go in and kill herself. You did a good job of freezing in a lot of different instances, so it did stall out a lot of their ganks, but you should continue to do that so that they can't exactly kill you, and then just keep your health as high as possible so that they can't full dive you, because if you get low, then they'll just dive you and ignore the tower, especially with Elise. And then you overextended like 2 or 3 times for tower plating when, again, you were still weak side. You had no teammates on your side, so you should just be playing a little bit more back. And then when your tower's down, you're probably going to want to group closer to mid with your support so you can ult the Leona into their Diana, and then Leona will just get on top of her stunner. You get kills, then you get mid tower, and then you just start playing more as a team instead of by yourself in the bot lane. And the mechanics, you're just going to want to try to save your spell shield for very easy to see high impact abilities like Yasuo Q, Rakan Knockup, Elise Cocoon. You did a pretty good job with some of them, but it's just a mechanic to practice, but just something worth pointing out. And that's really it. Thank you again. My name is Mike. I hope everything's going well for you. Feel free to leave a comment on the review and tell me how I did.